Yo, you are not gonna believe what just happened in Dallas. A 20-point lead. 20 points. Gone. Vanished. Up 12 in the fourth quarter and still lost the game. If you think you've seen collapses in this league before, sit down, because this one takes the crown. And the head coach? He is not okay. He is fuming. We are getting into every single second of this disaster right now. So smash that like button, drop a comment, hit subscribe, ring that bell, because trust me, you want to be here for this one. Let's set the scene properly, because the numbers on this one are actually insane once you break them down. Dallas Wings versus the Washington Mystics. Dallas builds a 20-point cushion in the third quarter. 20 points. In a league where a 10-point lead can already feel comfortable, they had double that. And somehow, someway, the Mystics claw all the way back and steal this game. Not just claw back to make it respectable, they actually win it. Dallas is up by 4 with 23 seconds left on the clock and still finds a way to lose. Read that again. 23 seconds. For points. A lead that 99 times out of 100 you close out. Gone. Since the All-Star break, this team has been a completely different animal, and not in a good way. 1 win, 3 losses in that stretch. The offense that looked unstoppable before the break has turned into a fourth-quarter horror show. And this isn't a one-game fluke either. This follows a pattern of blown double-digit leads that has fans and analysts asking the exact same question over and over. What is going on in Dallas? And look, let's actually sit with that record for a second, because 1 in 3 since the break is not a small sample size hiccup anymore. That's a full month of basketball where this team cannot finish games. You can point to injuries, you can point to fatigue, you can point to a tough schedule, but at a certain point the excuses run out and the tape just shows you a team that is not closing. Now here's where it gets spicy, and this is the part one really want to talk about. People have spent the entire season throwing around MVP talk, throwing around big comparisons to the league's biggest stars. But when the results start slipping, when the scoring numbers drop off, when the efficiency disappears, the hype train has to slow down too. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot get compared to the league's biggest names in the good months, and then get a total pass when the numbers fall off a cliff in the bad months. Hold everybody to the same standard, on this team and across the whole league. That's all we're asking here, and that's really the whole point of tonight's video. And it's not going unnoticed inside the building either. Jessica Shepard has quietly been playing like the best player on this roster lately, carrying more than her fair share of the load, while other names keep getting the headlines and the attention. Double-doubles, efficient shooting nights, showing up in winnable moments. Fans are catching on to this. The stat sheets don't lie, and right now the stat sheet is telling a very different story than the highlight reels and the hype pieces floating around online. So let's get into what head coach Jose Fernandez actually said after the game, because you can hear the frustration in every single word he says at that podium. He starts by pointing to the third quarter as the exact moment it all fell apart. "We didn't close out the third quarter," he says. Washington hits a big 3 right before the buzzer, and just like that the entire momentum of the game swings. What was a slow, controlled possession-by-possession game turns into a track meet, and it completely flips the pace that Dallas wanted to play at. Dallas is still up 8 heading into the fourth quarter, then pushes the lead to 12, and then it completely unravels in front of everybody watching. He talks about missed shots around the rim that his team normally makes on a good night, about struggling to guard one-on-one in certain spots on the floor down the stretch, about Washington getting to the free throw line 22 times compared to a much lower total for Dallas. Both teams shot 50% from the field on the night, but that free throw disparity tells a huge part of the real story here. Momentum, he says plainly, just shifted, and his team simply didn't answer when it mattered most. Reporters press him further on it in the presser, and this is where it gets really interesting. One reporter asks about Washington scoring over half of their second half points in the paint, and whether that was a scheme breakdown or a discipline issue on the defensive end. Fernandez doesn't hide from the question at all. He says it wasn't just simple post touches, it was downhill drives, transition baskets in the open floor, elbow entries where his defense ended up fouling instead of containing the basketball. Dallas didn't stop the point of attack early enough, and Washington capitalized on basically every single possession where that broke down. Another reporter brings up the minutes load question, given how heavy the workload has been for one of the Wings' key players since the break, and whether that's a real concern heading into the stretch run with international competition looming at the end of the month. Fernandez kind of brushes it off in the moment, pointing out that other players around the league logged similarly heavy minutes on a nightly basis. But the follow-up question lands a lot harder, because those other players around the league aren't the ones prepping for a completely different commitment overseas in a matter of weeks. It's a fair question from the media, and it's one this coaching staff is going to have to answer soon, because you simply cannot run a franchise player into the ground during a playoff push and also expect them to show up fresh for what comes right after. There's also a question about pace in this game specifically, since Dallas had talked pre-game about wanting to control tempo. The coach admits the first half went exactly to plan. They were dictating pace. They were comfortable. But the moment Washington hit that shot to close the third and came out of the next timeout still trailing by 12, everything changed. Dallas couldn't sustain the pressure. Live ball turnovers started creeping in. Good looks at the basket stopped falling. And on the other end, Washington started converting on almost every single stop they got. That's basketball in a nutshell. One team gets stops and converts, the other team gets stops and doesn't, and the whole game flips on that margin. By the time the presser wraps up, it's crystal clear this loss stings differently than a normal regular season defeat. This isn't just one bad shooting night that you shrug off. This is a franchise that built a golden opportunity, a 20-point cushion against a genuinely good, well-coached team, and let it slip through their fingers in real time, in front of a national audience, with the whole league watching and taking notes. So where does Dallas actually go from here? The record since the break tells you basically everything you need to know: 1 win and 3 losses, and every single one of those losses has come with a lead that should have been safe by any normal standard. You can point to turnovers, you can point to the free throw discrepancy, you can point to fatigue and minutes load, but at some point the pattern itself becomes the story. Teams that blow multiple double-digit leads in a short stretch of games have a habit problem, not a one-game problem. And until Dallas figures out whatever is breaking down mentally and schematically in these fourth quarters, nobody should be surprised when this happens again in the next game, and the game after that. And that's really the conversation we need to be having as a fan base and as analysts covering this team. Less about individual player comparisons, less about who should or shouldn't be compared to who in terms of star power, and more about a team that had every single chance to close out a statement win on national television and could not get it done when it counted. The standard should be the same for everybody, on this roster and across the entire league. And right now Dallas has some genuinely hard questions to answer about why the fourth quarter keeps turning into their personal kryptonite, night after night. Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if you think this is a coaching scheme issue, a rotation and minutes issue, or just a talented team hitting a rough patch at exactly the wrong time of the season. Like the video if you made it all the way through this one with me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. And I will see you in the very next one.